I think number 3. These are just the little talks we do. I think I forgot to tell you about Charlie Boy, but I actually have another interesting story. I noticed as I was driving, I couldn't see as clear. These are my sunglasses that are prescription glasses. I don't know if you can see. I didn't look at the video. I'd check them out later. But I had either my wife's or daughter's sunglasses on, which are not prescription. I noticed they even had like little jewels on them, like lady glasses. I was wearing those when I left the house. But it's good because everything works out for your benefit. How, John? What's significant about that? Every day I have now a new routine. So I ride up sort of to San Antonio during the day, that area, and do these little rollouts. And do the cops know? Yes, they sure do watch me. They had to ask the other day, where are you living? Oh, I'll tell you now. Why would they ask you that, Jim? Because they normally would check wherever I was and be there. So I have to park my vehicle inside the garage. And how do you know they're checking? Because they know where I live. And since I've been back, they're thinking, oh, it's the vehicle's not there. You see, we learn. So that's how I know they look. They know where I live. They know my address. They parked there many times. So now, that's why they couldn't figure that out. So today, they know, where John is all the time. But I had to change my routine because I had to go get my glasses. Oh, and guess who was right there? My daughter was actually home, but she didn't see them. Said, John, but we got to do our jobs. Tell me about your jobs. Tell me about your jobs again, because I forget. I didn't think it was everything that you have a record of. Why does the chief take everything lightly, John? Because he'll give an account if the investigation that the feds do on you for everything. They'll also want to know, what did you know, Marco, and when did you know it? Were you familiar with the many, the ones that I didn't even, how many settlements you made with citizens? How much you paid out? All those are the cases. So the one I forgot to tell you about, little Charlie, was, Pops told me, little Charlie, Pops' nephew, so just on his own, Pops, because one day I had told Pops, I said, Pops, she brought up, they're harassing Charlie all the time. They pick him up for anything. They're so arrogant, the criminal element. Arrogant enough in the last one G.I. Joe video that they would still continue to cover up at the expense of the description of the black kid. The G.I. Joe video, the last one, Officer Chenoweth, I believe that was G.I. Joe's name, Officer Chenoweth. He gave the description of a black kid that he saw at the ATM. So they had targeted that black kid to say he shot Chenoweth, Officer Chenoweth. That's how we got that description. And they wanted, when they knew that G.I. Joe killed himself, it would have made their department look bad because he put out a hit on the city councilwoman, meaning he was going to have her murdered because she was invested. And when the department knew that, they wanted to keep all that covered up, the department. But that retired cop called in because he knew the corruption of his fellow, the cover-up they were doing. And then it finally broke, the story broke. Yes, we lied. We wanted to frame that black kid for it. Even when we knew G.I. Joe actually shot himself because the medical examiner, they couldn't coerce him like they did here in this county many times. and the Hayden case and all these other things. So, who has the? Do I have the power to have in the parable of the group? If I had friends all over, I said, "Oh, quick, go check out his daughter's house." If I was a corrupt cop, said, "Look, we're going to make entry illegally into this daughter's property. Same time, you got an eye on him over here. Watch out for." Just for the public. How much money and time do those types of activities take? The public alone should be concerned with the money that you pay these guys. And then they don't want to go on runs. I even forgot to mention this one. The reason no cop came to that wreck that I helped out on when I was with Pops off of Staples by Morgan. I know of no other city in the U.S. that did this one. And I remember when they did this. Years back, they came out and said, police officers are no longer going to respond to 1050s, which is the 10 codes we used in Kingsville for wrecks. And when I remember when I seen that in the news, I said, no, you have to go to a wreck. They would not go to minor wrecks like the one. Look, that girl was injured, the one I helped Pops with. She had whiplash and all. And I had to get on the phone, actually, because she was on the phone hysterical. And right in front of the medical plaza that she worked at, but she was hysterical, and she had some injury to her neck. And the 911 dispatcher for PD, for the police, was debating even to send. A cop never came, but whether or not to send an ambulance. And I got on the phone and said, look, she's injured. This was a car wreck. Send an ambulance. Now, I waited there, and there's a firehouse not too far. I think it's right on Morgan Street, actually. And they came down the block. And so, but why were no cops there? Because they implemented the thing that we're no longer going to send police to the wrecks. They changed it now. I think Markle changed it. But they said the reason we're not going to send police to wrecks anymore, bumper to bumper, or in that case it was pretty big, a little more than that. They said because we want to free up manpower. I knew that was not it. Cops or firemen, if you have to go to an incident, you got to fill out reports. And most people don't want to fill out a bunch of reports. At the firehouse, they instituted once, now you got to do another incident report besides the normal reports that we would do on ambulance. And it was kind of drawn out, when we converted to doing them on the computers, and guys carrying laptops, the emergency room, then they're filling this report out. It was a little, so in general, police and firemen don't want to do a whole bunch of reports. You do the ones you have to, but you don't want to make redundancy. And I realized more than likely they didn't want to start going to wrecks. They stopped going for a few years, car wrecks, for that reason. And when I remember when I seen that in the news, as far as I know, there's no other city in the U.S. that would get away with something like that. Because you cannot have an insurance claim without a police report. The police report has to state what they believed happened. And then they interview, did you have your signal on? And they do preliminary. And then, of course, the insurance people will. So what was happening for those few years, and I knew this, but they told the public citizens of Corpus they were not responding because they needed to, for the important things. Like Toomey, 5 calls and you didn't go, then you beat his ass. I knew they lied to the citizens because what I explained. So I think Markle, when he got in, that was changed. But I remember when he changed it, when it was changed, you had to go. Look, you can't have any city where you don't have police reports in car wrecks. That's how you deal with your insurance. But I remember that. I thought, the public's just not aware of some of that stuff. So I just figured I'd make a note. on how you say, John, but maybe that officer by your house just now, about 40 minutes ago, maybe he was there for legal reasons, not the ones that are doing illegal ones. But why do we have to always flip the dice on something like that? That's why you don't cover up that. That's why you don't take actual felonies committed by officers on the job and treat them like a cigarette investigation of the fire department. That's why you obey law. That's why you don't cover up for a G.I. Joe when you all knew, and that's national news, you go Google that. And you all knew, but you were resistant, and you would have continued to gone after that black kid, which was the identity that G.I. Joe gave, which was a real black kid along with a white kid and maybe someone else at an ATM. And he gave, even in his death, knowing he was going to go shoot himself and face God, he decided it's more important to frame this black kid on the way out. What a disgrace.